Write an essay with ChatGPT's help, then try to recite one sentence of it back 5 minutes later. In a study of over 50 students, most people who used AI to write couldn't do it. Their brains had barely built the memory in the first place. Every time you actually think something through, organizing an argument, choosing a word, deciding what to say next, your brain builds temporary connections between regions that don't normally talk to each other. That construction process is measurable, down to the electrical signal. Researchers at the MIT Media Lab, led by Natalia Cosmina, wanted to know what happens to it when a chunk of the thinking gets outsourced to an AI. So they recruited 60 university students from around Boston, MIT, Harvard, Wellesley, Tufts, Northeastern, had 55 of them complete the study in full and strapped a 32-channel EEG headset onto each one while they wrote SAT-style essays under 3 different conditions, using ChatGPT and nothing else, using Google with AI results turned off, or using only their own brain. The researchers picked essay writing specifically because it's cognitively demanding in a very particular way. You have to juggle the big picture, like structuring an argument, at the same time as small details, like word choice and grammar, all at once. The setup was rigorous by the standards of this kind of research. The protocol was approved by MIT's Ethics Review Board ahead of time, and participants were paid $100 for completing the core study, with a $50 bonus for anyone who came back for the optional 4th session. The core group of 54 participants, evenly split across the 3 conditions, attended 3 separate sessions spread over 4 months. This wasn't a one-off snapshot. It was a repeated pattern showing up again and again. Every session followed the same protocol: a background questionnaire, headset calibration, a 20-minute timed essay under strict tool restrictions, and a follow-up interview that, among other things, asked participants to quote their own work from memory. The EEG data revealed a clean gradient. The brain-only group showed the strongest, most widely distributed network of connections. 79 separate links in the brainwave range tied to focused attention and meaning-making. The search engine group landed in the middle. The ChatGPT group showed only 42 of those same connections, the quietest, least interconnected brain activity of the 3 groups, session after session, for 4 months straight, measured directly off 32 points on the scalp, not inferred from watching people type. A separate brainwave band tied to working memory showed the same pattern: 65 connections for the brain-only group, compared with just 29 for the ChatGPT group. Then came the part that actually explains the headline. After each essay, participants were asked a simple question: repeat back, from memory, one exact sentence you just wrote. In the very first session, 83.3% of the ChatGPT group, 15 out of 18 people, couldn't produce an accurate quote from an essay they'd finished minutes earlier. In the search engine and brain-only groups, that failure rate was 11.1%, or 2 out of 18 in each. That gap held even when the bar was lowered from "get it exactly right" to simply "attempt any quote at all." The ChatGPT group still lagged noticeably behind. And on the stricter measure, correctness, not one single participant in the ChatGPT group produced a fully accurate quote in that first session. In a bonus 4th session that only 18 of the original participants came back for, the researchers tested something even more basic. Could participants recognize which topics they'd even written about earlier in the study? Everyone in the brain-only group did, every time, 9 for 9. Among people who'd used ChatGPT throughout, only 3 out of 9 could. For some of them, the connection to their own recent thinking barely seemed to exist at all. The essays themselves told a matching story. Participants picked from prompts pulled straight from real SAT exams. Questions about loyalty, happiness, courage. Whether having too many choices makes people less free. Analyzing word choice, structure, and topic patterns, the researchers found essays written with ChatGPT were far more similar to each other than essays from either other group. Same phrasing, same structural choices, over and over, regardless of who was supposedly writing them. Those essays also packed in noticeably more specific names, dates, and facts, 2 to 3 times more than the other groups by the researchers' count. And yet, despite sounding more informationally dense, they showed less evidence of original thinking underneath. When participants were asked how much of the essay felt like their own, the ChatGPT group gave the widest, shakiest range of answers, from complete ownership down to, for a few people, none at all. The brain-only and search engine groups almost never reported feeling zero ownership over their own writing in any session. Notably, the researchers opened their own paper with a line from the novel Dune about the danger of handing your thinking over to a machine. Not exactly a subtle framing choice, but one their own data ended up mostly supporting. Here's the part that complicates the simple "AI makes you dumber" headline. In that same bonus 4th session, the researchers flipped the 2 extreme groups. People who'd spent 3 sessions on ChatGPT were now forced to write brain-only, and people who'd spent 3 sessions writing unaided were now handed ChatGPT for the first time. The group moving from ChatGPT to brain-only stayed weaker. Their brain connectivity didn't snap back to full strength just because the tool was taken away. But the group moving from brain-only to ChatGPT did something nobody expected. Their connectivity spiked higher than it had ever been in any session of the entire study, across every single frequency band the researchers measured, with a particular surge in regions tied to visual processing and integrating new information, alongside the strongest memory recall recorded in the whole experiment. Building the thinking yourself first, then letting a tool build on top of it, produced the single best cognitive result anyone got in the entire study. Skipping straight to the tool never did, no matter how the researchers sliced the data. This is one study, from one lab, still a preprint that hasn't completed formal peer review. The researchers say so themselves, directly in the paper. A separate group of scientists has already published a formal comment questioning some of its statistical methods, its EEG analysis choices, and its relatively small sample size, and calling for more conservative interpretation of a few of the results. None of it proves ChatGPT permanently damages anyone's brain. What it does suggest, consistently, across the brain scans, the quoting tests, and the topic recognition, is that thinking something through yourself before reaching for a tool isn't just a nice habit. It might be the actual mechanism that builds the connections worth having. The tool doesn't have to be the enemy here. Based on this data, it just might work best coming second, after your own brain has already done the first draft of the thinking, which is a genuinely useful, testable idea for anyone who writes, studies, or works alongside AI every day, not a reason to swear it off.